Hey people, this is Baba Bull. He's the ancient god of scribes, the teacher of scribes. And this was found in the tomb of Tutankhamun, and that's what he's doing here. He's teaching the common language, the old language, the red, the atom, posterior, the post, the past, and the new language. He was a Hamadryas baboon, often appeared in ancient Egyptian art as they were considered sacred to thought. A major and powerful deity with many roles that include being the scribe of gods. And his name was Baba Bull, bull of the baboons. And this is where your word Babel comes from, in Babel. That's why they'll use it for language teaching today. They didn't come from Egypt. They came from Upper Nile area. And that's why it says, God changed the language. He came down the Nile to change the language. And that's what this is about. It's about changing the language of time. And so they'll tell you, the ancient people, they didn't have word for time. They didn't have a conception of time. And that's what this means here. And you see it's the old, it was here before, and they didn't have old names here. So these are new words. And so they'll interpret this is Mat. And so that's where they forced this M over this blade, was always a Z. And this is a MR, a mer, and this is at. And that's where they get that Mat from. They force a M over this, a MA, and an AT. But it's better pronounced as Zemarat. And then you had Mat, the truth. And that means whatever was written, that's the truth. You have Nabit, NBT, Nabit. And it means in bitten butt. In bitten butt was yesterday. And then you have Horus, the hours, that's today. And then you have Comet. And your comet is tomorrow. You see it in the Greek. The comet is tomorrow, the day. And then you have Nes, NHS. And this is where your word next come from, but it means the day after tomorrow. Just the NES, Nes, meaning the day after tomorrow. It comes from the Greek, so it was in every language. And you can see his name here, Genesis 11 in the Hebrew. BLL, bull, is the confused, and bull, you spit. And here, Baba, this is all can force them to have black, the new language. All can force them to have HV, BLK, the blackism. And forcing on the new language is what it says. He was a snitch. He was showing how the old red language could be read in the black. And you see that in the Greek, the suggest is Audi here, a sinnichi. And it's the sinnich, spelt with the S-U-N, or sin, synchronize. The two together, the synchronize, itchy, the sinnichi, the snitchy, cariaz. And so, this is the A, B. And they call this a T, but I'm pretty sure this is earth. It means earth, and I'm pretty sure it's the RX, earths, and others is what it means. And this is the old language, and they'll say this is the symbol for the heart, which is the Av, AB, AV. And so it's the others. And so others are your children. That's my others. And of others, that's your grandchildren. They're my heart. My of. And so he's showing, different ways things are right. This is checking them. And so this is the M here, and this is checking. And you see, he's got a hard on, that means want. And he's reaching up with his stick inside of an oven. He's checking, and he's checking the bisque. Checking biscuits is what it says. Checking them, and then it lets you know that this old language it read here, BS, and it's just reading down BS. And so he's teaching them the old language. The new people, he's teaching them how to read the old and the BS. And this is a seedling, like you're going out to plant the orchard. I don't remember the sound of this in the cues down here. And then he showed some language over here that didn't change. These are all the same. And then this one is just clear. And what it means is wait. White and wait. There's nothing here. It's just clean white. It means to sit and wait. And you see here, this is the same language. This is the B, and this is a old letter N, looks like. And, a B, N. And then this is the T, and then the double vowel point means Y, and venti or venti. And this is the TJ, they say, TIYJ. And so it lets me know that this is more read as vintage, VNTJ, vintage. And so you can see, this is where the old Coptic English language come from. The next, the ness, and the comet tomorrow, and the hours. The hour it is today. You look up at the hour on of the heavens to see what time it is. It means now. And bit in the butt, that was behind you yesterday. And mat, the truth, meaning whatever we wrote, that was past. And nobody's here to say any different anymore. And you'll see that in these different words for the truth in Greek, the ALETES, the elites. Only the elites know the truth. And then you see better in this word over here, it changes up, and still the all it, and on. And so when you're reading it with the marks here, the elite know that this word reads backwards, and it's to none, to none a tell. None a tell, all it in on. And so you don't tell anybody all the truth is what the entire word means. And so before they had any of these words for the past, the mat, and yesterday, and today, and comet, and ness. But like I say, this was a Z, M-R. And the arm here is the A, and he's holding a loaf of bread here was the T. It's the Zimmerat. And it means, Simmerat, one who remembers through meditation. And so after that, they decided we better start writing it down. And they found out as they wrote it, that became the truth. And so, the old monkey, he's just like old Kermit the Frog. He's the first teacher of the kids. And then after the kids get to know and trust, he's their favorite one. Later in life, when they're 40 years old, they might use him to push some government propaganda. And then up top here, everybody thinks this is Kaf for pushing the sun, but this is Kaf for, and you see here, this is the CH and the P and the R, and it's more for, and it means copper is the planet Venus. Copper is the color of Venus, is the metal of Venus. And so you having two Venuses here. And so that's the Hesper and Lucifer are your two Venuses. Hesper, the fear to come after, and Lucifer, comes up first in the morning. And that's where that comes from, the FR and the CHFR. And Khafra. So Khafra isn't pushing the sun up. Khafra is pushing Venus up. So when you're reading a red letter Bible, that's what it means. This is a quote from the past. A red letter, the quote from the past. Adam, Hadam, past. The red, the posterior. And what helped me figure this out, I was reading in the book of John where I've been reading, and it explains some of these symbols that I would have never figured out. So in the last two movies, I read these first 7 lines. In fact, you can catch all 7 lines in just the last movie. The first movie, I spent some time on the first one. And I was reading here, and this beloved here, that is the ape that everybody loved. And that's what it says. A G following an A is N. And you see it in the word angel. And several other words here. When the G follows the A, it becomes an N. And so this is an ape to, and you, Y-O-U. On an ape to you, K-E-N-T, C-E-N-T. On an ape you sent all on. On an ape you sent all on. All of your words came from the ape, from this god of scribes. And then the K-A-I is evolve, reads as a W. When, on, and now. And when on a graph, I'm in. An ape to you sent all on, when on graph, I'm in. And we'll see a couple different words for the graph in here. But this is a graph. And this is an ape in a graph. An ape to you sent all on, when on graph, I'm in. All in Tolin Palean. And so they say Palean means old, but it actually comes from a word that means discussion, parlay on. And it comes from this word parlay. You heard it, the pirates, when they get caught, they claim the right to parlay, means they get to speak to the captain. But it was actually, it's pronounced Pele. Parlay. There's no R pronounced, it's parlay. And it means, to have discussion. And all in told in discussion on, and parlay on each it of arches. On each of it arches on the top. But Pele, that's the fire god. And Yon, that's the day. And Apollyon, is the destroyer. But, Apollo is the sun, the Sunday. Apollo, his mount is the sun. A Pele on each it arches. And all in told on Paleon on each it of arches. He and told, what he and told him to do. And he play is the AE becomes the ES, and the double S becomes the I, and he play is it in. He pele, to relay. Plays it in of logos, the writings, the shapes on accusate, on accuse at, on point 'em out. An ape to you sent all on, when on graph 'em in all in toll. The discussion and the Palean, the old style word, the Palean, on each it of arches in toll. He plays it in of a logos on accuse it. And so he's matching up the accuse it, what to's, the accuse it's, and matching up the written words with the paleas, with the spoken words, with the Palean. And so all the old, what they call the Palean alphabet, older language, they're claiming to be Hebrew, no such thing. It means more of what we think of phonics, the sounded out word, instead of just the picture meaning. Where in the past, people could just look at the pictures and know the picture meanings, and they understood what the word meant before it was put into a spoken word. And so this is called a new commandment. An ape to you sent all on, when on graphomen, all in told in Palean, on each it of arches, on each of the tops, he in Tolin. He pale is it in of the logos, the spoken is it in of the logos, on accuse it, on accusate, on the accuse it, on point it out, the accusations. And Palin, the Palin, the spoken in Tolin, went on the graphomen of is it in all these true, all these in, what two? And in Audi he Scotia, and in them him, in Audi, what he ought to do, he Scotia. And Scotia is a shape. It gets its darkness from being inside a shape that's shaded from the sun is a Scotia. That's where that darkness comes from. And Palin told in when on graphum in of is it in all this in what to when in Audi he Scotia. The shade, the Scotia of are on, of AFARAN, of our on it, age. AG is what you picked up along the way. Appear on it, age. What to pose, POS, the pose to, all it in on, had a fave they. The N followed by E becomes a V. F-A-I-V-E, fave they. And so pose, that's the word on the front. They give lights, but it's not. It means the pose, a pause, a position is what it means. You see it here in Genesis 1, created the day, the light, they call it the pause, comer on, and it's the position. Foes is where they read in that. But you see it better down here on the fourth day, when he created the starum at it. They're all stare whom at the firmament, the stars. It's where you word star home at. The stars live in the firmament, and everybody that's reading this, they stare them at. To the hour on of, up in the heavens, as his causing. And in this causing to stare them at it, to the hour on of, as it faving upon this location, this gis, we give it to Utus, the evil eye. And that's Utus up here on the boat, and it's the god of divisions. And the first division half, is you either have Lucifer or Hesyphor. And when he made the two great lights, those were the fosters, the foster as. It's position there as, foster as, position there as. Your foster family, where it's living at that time. Imposters, not the real one, an imposter. And the pause to all it in on had a fave they. That's where the true light's at. The light true already shines. The position to all it in on had a fave they, in their favorite spot. The true, where it fits good. All the planets, they have favorites out there in the staromat hour of on. I believe that pause is coming from here. This guy is standing in a pose. And I'll have to look deeper into this red to be sure of that. But it's easy to see, this is all about writings of time. And the red was the past and the had from. And the black is the new times. And your ofs, your overs, your children, and your overs, your grandchildren, and akin it, your kinfolk. They had a new symbol just to mean akin, A-K-N-N-U, akinya. And a vintage, having to do with time. And checking the biscuits, don't let them burn, having to do with time. And wait, having to do with time. Busy, I don't have time for it. B-S-Y, two A's or two I's, read as a Y, busy. And then Lucifer and Hesyphor, which were written into every day, Hesyphor, the evening star. And who higher in, who they before, the F-R in for, the morning, Lucifer, the morning light. So So I know this was gold here. I might have to shift the cover on around it because I want everybody to see this. I know a lot of people will be interested in this. Anybody interested in any ancient language. And so I'll start. I'm going to keep on reading this chapter. I had so much good time. And it talks about the Antichrist so much in here and explains all that a lot better. You just have to look at all the writings to understand it. But I'm going to cut this off here. A good day.
I am the Antichrist, and I approve of this message.